Hi guys, Samad here at DreamHack Summer 2014 for the Dream League Season 1 Finals. I'm joined here by Zai from Evil Geniuses, who unfortunately no longer in the tournament after a rough day one. Can you kind of just summarize your day one as a team?
As a team, it was kind of underwhelming and disappointing. We lost our 2 games that we had, and we felt like we didn't perform very well at all. Especially coming from the summit where we performed very well and we won against DK. Coming to this land and losing 2 matches and ending at last place, it feels kind of bad. So, yeah.
Can you just give us kind of like for people at home that you guys just won the summit, you guys beat DK, probably one of the strongest teams in the world right now. They probably don't realize what external factors come into it. Coming over here, the majority of teammates have had to fly over pretty late, especially Artesia. Can you just give them how much of an impact that actually has on your performance?
Well, everyone's been really tired and kind of down because jet lag has been a big factor, and getting used to a new country, stuff like that. It definitely plays a matter, and when you play Dota games at such a high level, because you need to be able to perform at your highest level, and sometimes it's not possible if the conditions are lackluster.
Okay. Now, day one, your team, Evil Genius, you kind of, the first down line, you always struggle a bit. Is that kind of line nerves, or is that just you guys getting used to the atmosphere of the event?
It's kind of more getting used to the event and also getting used to the teams that play. I feel like when you come to a LAN setting like this, there's always going to be this little meta game that forms, and getting used to that meta game is what separates good teams from bad teams, and it's really hard to do it on with only 2 games. In the summit, for example, we had a whole group stage where we lost 4 games or whatever, but then we got used to what the Chinese teams play and we adapted accordingly. But we didn't have time to do that since the format kind of didn't favor us this time.
Yeah, the format here, you guys must be pretty disappointed with the format here. I mean, has your team actually made a complaint to DreamHack about the format?
Well, what I imagine they were thinking with the format is that the group state that often is in these LAN tournaments and events was actually the online part. But since there was such a long time between the actual online gameplay and the LAN event, it's kind of weird because I don't know, they based everything off the seedings on the live stage. So C9 and Empire just got a free trip to the playoffs, but we only get to play 2 games, which feels kind of weird.
And even more so with those games being best of 1, especially in a LAN environment, I don't really know too many teams who say they actually prefer best of 1 matches at all, or even like them. Would you be in agreement that you guys don't like best of 1s as well?
Yeah, we definitely don't like best of 1s, and I'd say that best of 1s often favor the underdogs, or basically just a team that are most confident in their strategy. Because there are some teams that they come into a game, they have this preset strategy, and they just execute it well. Doing that in a best of 1 is rather simple compared to best of 3, so it favors those kind of teams.
Now, even though you guys have been knocked out here, you must be still pretty confident as a team, because if we look back at the summit, you guys beat some big names there, especially DK, and just getting that practice against a Chinese team. Would you say you're pretty comfortable now heading into ESL?
I would say so, yeah. I think it was good for us to lose to a team like Mouse that plays so much different from the Chinese teams. The summit compared to this event was so different in terms of how our team plays. So I think being exposed to all these different teams and stuff definitely helps us for ESL and TI as well.
Now, looking slightly forward, I believe you guys are going to be staying in Europe after this event and looking to boot camp somewhere in preparation for ESL 1 Frankfurt. Can you just give us more details regarding that?
Yeah, we're going to be staying in Stockholm, and I'm not sure which hotel, but we're going to be playing at Inferno Online, just a LAN cafe, and I'm sure people can come out and visit us when we play. And basically, we're going to be scrimming a lot because we haven't been practicing much due to time, basically. So it's good. With
Dota 2 being so European heavy, it seems like a big chunk of the third-party tournaments like DreamHack, ESL, Starladder are all over here. Would you, as an American team, do you think if you were to move to Europe, would that benefit you in the long run, or would you prefer? Do you think your actual team prefers to stay stateside?
Well, the main issue is that it's the jet lag basically, and I think one way of solving it would be to make the Americans come like, 3-4 days earlier than everyone else, so they can get used to it. Because we're basically the only American team that travels so much, and it kind of hurts us. So I wouldn't say moving here full time is a good choice, but definitely getting here earlier than other teams.
And at day one on a LAN event, do you feel that also not only just all the external factors, but the team's attitude, and do you feel it's very easy for your team to get dragged down and get a bit upset and a bit depressed at the situation? And do you find it that you feel the need to drag your team up and try and motivate them?
Losing a LAN event always feels really shitty. I mean, there's nothing else, so it feels awful. Somewhere you just gotta find it in you to get motivated, stay motivated, because this is only a part of three tournaments to come, and basically, obviously TI being the biggest one, you can't let one loss get you down, especially since personal conflicts and stuff can appear when you lose, but we can't let that happen when TI is so it's so TI basically. So you just gotta deal with it. You gotta learn to deal with it, and sooner than later.
So, if we look back at the summit day one, is that kind of did you guys go through the same kind of situation? Did people get down about the situation? And
basically, yeah. But since there were so many games, and we also knew that the games didn't, we were gonna get knocked out. We had a good we could actually learn from the games very well. We didn't really have time to do that. We only played a best of one, and then a best of three, and then we were out. At the summit, we actually analyzed every single game we played that we lost, and I feel like we improved a lot from it, and we learned a lot, which is why we came back on day 2 and 3.
And one of the other factors at the summit was obviously Fear, who is injured and is unable to attend TI4. This was kind of the summit was kind of like his first role as a coach for your team. Did he? That kind of external factor, did he help a lot at the summit for you guys?
I think it did. He made us focus on the things that we lacked during some games. Like, say, in one game, our communication would be lackluster, and then he would tell us, improve that the next game, and we'd bring it into the next game. But maybe we lost that game too because of another factor, and then it would, bring that one up. And at the end of the day, we would have 4 factors that we actually dealt with going into the next game. So I think he did that very well. He helped us improve.
Now, Fear was potentially going to be here at DreamHack, but was unable to make it because of late flights and everything. Is there any chance we may see Fear at ESL or even during your boot camp?
He's coming down here for our boot camp. He's going to be helping us practice and probably analyzing our scrims and help us train and stuff, strategize. And I would imagine he's coming to ESL as well. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to working with him.
That's good to hear. Do you think moving forward, this is where teams need to start bringing in these external factors? I know Team DK and 71 AK Penny, he brings a lot to their team as a coach. Do you feel, especially with the international being almost $10 million now, do you feel any extra help you can get is what all these teams should be doing right now? We see Clairvoyance is with Cloud9, and a couple of the other teams here have been looking at coaches. Is that the missing key to a lot of situations, do you think?
I think a coach is definitely helpful, and the main reason I think is just because sometimes you just forget things that are very obvious. In one game we played, we picked Morphling, but didn't ban Elder Titan, and got really punished. And those are things that coaches help you. They remind you of the most simple stuff, but it's also very important. And also the things about helping us after the games, post game, analyzing and stuff. I think it's the most helpful thing ever. And after a team, when you lose, you don't see it. You don't see straight, basically. And having an objective coach definitely helps you improve. And it's very important for group stage events. So yeah.
Okay. Now I imagine with you boot camping over here in Europe, there's going to be quite a large selection of teams you'll be wanting to scrim with. Is there any you have in mind, or is it just anyone you can get hold of, basically?
I'd like to scrim with the Alliance a lot. I feel like they would be great scrim partners. Hope they'll comply. Also, playing as some of these aggressive teams that we didn't really face at the summit, like Empire, maybe Mouse. Some of these European teams that play so much different from the Chinese kind of Dota. I think those would be the optimal scrim partners.
Now you mentioned Alliance there. One of the things Alliance did recently is opt to not go to the summit or take part in any online tournaments that could maybe hinder their schedule, and as such they boot camped, locked themselves down, and was just scrimming, heavily focused on practicing. Do you feel more teams need to do that?
Yeah, it was probably a wise decision on their part. I feel like they kind of, there were so many choices. There were 4 or 5 tournaments that you could choose from, and we kind of went for every single tournament. Well, they kind of opted for, I guess, this DreamHack and then ESL, and I feel like they could prepare more for these tournaments, which is definitely better for them.
So looking slightly more forward, past ESL, obviously the International is going to take up most of July. Going into that event with a prize pool so big, I mean, as a player, did you ever imagine it reaching, the likes of like $10 million?
No way.
And obviously, money is a big factor there. I mean, how do you, as a team, how do you even put that in the back of your mind when there's so much looming on it?
Well, obviously, money is a big factor, and it serves as motivation to actually compete. Some people have, they naturally have just the drive to win. Some people don't, and then I think money plays a big factor in actually, trying your best to win.
One of the things I've been asking teams here is basically looking at how the prize pool is actually distributed for this year's International. Valve have yet to confirm the split. Would you prefer to see something like TI3 where the top 8 teams get paid, or do you think it should be spread more evenly now? Well,
I mean, seeing as I assume we're going to be in top 8. Obviously, I'm a bit biased. I would like more money for myself. But overall fairness, I think every team should be paid. I think Fnatic has proposed a solid argument where everyone contributes to the event, and so everyone should take a part of the money. So I definitely agree with that. But with that said, I mean, if I place well, I want much money. So.
Now, let's say the first place prize is 50% and we hit 10 million. That's 5 million for a team. Is that too much almost too much for a team to win at one event?
Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't have a clue what to do with the money, but I guess it helps, sustain, the scene or whatever.
Do you think a team would ever retire if they won that much money, depending on where they lived, maybe? Or do you think they would just drive them to win more and more and more?
It's definitely possible to retire, but I don't think anyone who actually plays competitive Dota would want to retire. After TI, there's going to be more events, and I don't think you can ever be satisfied. Obviously, you can be satisfied with winning money, but I don't think you can be satisfied with just one victory at TI. I don't think that's possible.
With all these events, with all these big events going on, do you think there's anything different they should be doing? Are you a big fan of the community-funded prize tickets? Like, say, for instance, Dream League here, with their ticket and their compendium, they've been able to raise the prize pool to $250,000. Do you think putting some of the responsibility on the community to help boost those prize pools is fair, or?
I think it's fair for these large events such as TI and maybe ESL, but I don't think it should be added for every single event that is, every single tournament that someone comes up with, usually as community funding right now. And I kind of feel like the organizers, they look to the community to serve as, funders, which, I mean, it might not be a bad thing since the community wants to see good Dota, but at the same time, it's kind of, it's not right in a sense.
Yeah. Okay. Moving more towards the game itself and some of the balance, we recently saw 6.81b released. Were you a bit surprised when you saw a new update come so close to the International and these big events?
I wasn't that surprised because the patch didn't really impact a lot of heroes that much. The nerf to Invoker, though, it was pretty large, but I definitely wouldn't have anything against more of those kind of small patches for RTI because I think it helps prevent a stale metagame where some people are just first pick and first ban every single game.
So when do you think there should be a cut-off point? Maybe a couple of weeks before the International or a bit longer? Or?
Maybe right after ESL, or seeing as there's probably going to be something people are going to abuse as ESL. At the Summit, everyone abused Roshan like crazy. I've yet to see what people do at DreamHack, but it's probably going to turn out sooner or later what people are going to abuse the most. And there's going to be something at ESL too, so maybe, looking into that, seeing if they need to tweak anything.
Yeah. Can you name a few specific heroes that you think are going to make a huge impact at these tournaments?
Well, I think there's like 5 heroes that are permabanned every single game. It's Enigma, Lycan, Batrider, Doom, and something else. But basically, maybe tweak one or two of those heroes. So just, shake it up a bit.
Okay. Now, you mentioned Enigma there. You're coming quite famous for your Enigma right now, especially you mentioned Roshan as well. This whole Medallion Enigma level 5 Roshan seems to be pretty bloody strong. Is that something that you think needs to disappear, or?
I don't think so. I mean, heroes killing Roshan early has always been a thing. You can look at the Ursa, he can do it as well. And you need to invest quite a bit in doing it, but also it's kind of hard to stop because you don't see it coming. You always used to see when the Enigma's farming jungle. But it's one of those things where you can abuse it really hard, but you can also, kind of see it coming if you're, if you see straight.
Okay. Now, I noticed you were watching the first game between Cloud9 and Mouse Sports, where Mouse Sports kind of ran right over Cloud9. Were you a bit surprised with that result?
Not really. I feel like Cloud9 picked a lineup that was very vulnerable to Mouse's kind of aggressive playstyle, and they got really punished for it. They couldn't make any mistakes in the laning phase at all, so they kind of had it coming.
Okay. Now, looking at all the teams here, obviously with yourselves no longer in the tournament, is there someone who you think is going to go all the way? Have you been pretty impressed with Alliance's new form recently, or do you think maybe Team Empire could be the dark horse, or even Mouse Sports with their strong performance?
Yeah, I've been kind of impressed with how well Mouse has played. But at the same time, I haven't seen Empire play at all. I've only seen Alliance play one game, so there's a lot of teams we haven't really got to see yet. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
And looking more over to the Eastern scene and the Chinese teams, is there anyone at the International who you think is going to stand out and shine there?
I think Newbie might be one of those teams. They've been dominating the Chinese scene lately, but they kind of yet to play a really solid Eastern team. So with that said, I think they have the potential to be one of the stronger Chinese teams, maybe even stronger than DK. So
when you have a team like that where you can't really, you can't scrim those guys from here or really get to play them before the International, how would you go about just analysing that team? Is it just a case of watching their games and replays, or is it maybe risking some games against them in the international group stages?
I think the group stages are where we'll be able to see what they do the most, because Chinese Dota versus Chinese Dota is very different from Chinese Dota versus Eastern Dota or Western Dota. Yeah.
Okay. Now, before I let you go, I want to just thank you for the interview, and obviously I'll let you give a shout out to your fans here in Sweden and obviously your sponsors.
Yeah. Shout out to Monster, HyperX, Cyberpunk PC, Planet Side 2 and Razer, and also Sony Online Entertainment, and to all the people that came to DreamHack and cheered for us, although our journey was short. It's fun to have you here, and sorry to disappoint you.
There you go. You'll see EG at ESL1 later this month, and that's it for today's coverage. Well, stick with us. Thank you.